By an opening statement from Coach Veidt, and then we will take questions. Please raise your hands for questions. We'll pass around the microphones. Coach Satterfield.
Yeah, good to see everybody back again. Hey, just happy to be here, obviously, to introduce Tyson here to everyone. It was, first of all, appreciate Coach Brown, and, Coach Brown had been with me since 2012, so a long time. So obviously, going to be a change in leadership on that side of the ball, something that certainly did not take lightly. It was, when you spend a lot of time on the offense like I do as a head coach, and you want to have to go find someone to help with that defense, and you got to have somebody that you trust, number one, someone that that feel good about them, organizing and running that side of the ball, staff and players. So there's a lot of great candidates out there, a lot of people that reached out, and a lot of people that we talked to, and it wasn't something that I was just going to jump into quickly. Really wanted to take that process and take our time with that. But Coach Veidt is, for many reasons, is the reason why we hired this guy. I'll mention a few right here, but I think first of all, being in the Big 12, for the last 8 years has been huge, and what they've been able to accomplish and do at Iowa State over that period of time, particularly on defense. They've done an outstanding job with that, and being in that league that long, when you think about some of the offenses that's been in this league for many years, and for them to be able to be one of the best, probably the best defense over that span in the Big 12. You think about, total defense, scoring defense, rushing defense, all those things. They've done an outstanding job with that, and he's been an integral part of that, really mentoring and working with those the linebacker group there. He's had some outstanding players there, and done some great things with them and teaching them. And I think that's the key. And I think, being a great teacher is the key to being a good football coach. And he's certainly got those attributes. Being from Ohio, which is a huge thing, we all know that. Has great respect from the high school coaches in the state. Been a head coach, having to do all the things you have to do as a head coach and wear all the many hats he's had to be able to deal with that. I think that's obviously a big thing. And then just sitting down and going over, his philosophies and things that he thinks about or thinks are important, or some of the same things that we think that are important. So it's great alignment there. So for all those reasons, I think, we got an outstanding coach and person here. Got a great family as well. And, so all those reasons, I think, man, we hit a home run, with Tyson here.
Coach Veidt.
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to thank the University of Cincinnati and Coach Satterfield. Clearly, I'm a little bit like Coach in the respect of I was at one place for the last 8 years, so I would certainly like to thank Coach Campbell and the opportunity that I had at Iowa State. I was with Coach Campbell for over 10 seasons, so I was with one guy for a while, and I'd be remiss if I didn't thank him. But certainly excited to be back in my home state and a place where I've got great relationships, not just with my immediate family, but with many other people as well, and excited for the opportunity here.
Questions for coaches?
Coach, you come from a very large coaching tree. I'm sure there's a temptation to just go find fruit on that tree again. Take us through the process of going outside of that and going outside of that comfort zone, and finding Coach Veidt.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, as coaches, when you have coaches that you've worked with that I feel are great coaches, that have been able to work their way up and do some really good things, and there were a lot of those guys out there. There were some great candidates and guys that I've worked with in the past, and a lot of times that is the easy thing to do. It's comfortable. You know what you're getting in those type guys. I really didn't want to just say settle for that, and I don't mean that in a negative term. I really wanted to try to go find the best person for this opportunity and where we are. And I really believed that, what Tyson's going to bring to the table, with the things that I mentioned, I thought was the best for us at this point in time. And, I really have great respect for Matt Campbell, having worked with him. Although it's not in 2009, but we've had a great relationship for many years. And then, talking to other people that have worked with Coach and, I just really felt good about it, comfortable, and really felt that this was going to be the best thing for the Bearcats. And that's really how I'm looking at it. It's not, I don't have to go hire somebody just because I know them, and know them in an intimate way as far as working with them for so many years. For me, it's like, what's going to be the best thing for us in order to help our football team go win games in the Big 12.
Keegan and Scott.
Coach Veidt, you talked about being with Coach Campbell for so long. What was it about Coach Satterfield's pitch? What was it about Cincinnati that made you feel comfortable making the jump to this?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think a couple things in the football world. You're obviously connected through college football with watching many guys over the years. Obviously, Coach Satterfield's had great success everywhere he's been. I knew of him, did not know him, but that was certainly exciting to me. And then obviously the opportunity here at the University of Cincinnati with, I think, is a place that speaks for itself, in my opinion, with the history and the tradition that's happened here. Obviously, the potential to be now in the Big 12 and take the program to another level, so to speak. It was also very exciting.
Coach Campbell did a pretty good job of getting guys from Ohio to Ames, Iowa. One of them played in that NFC Championship game last night. Are you looking forward to getting guys to come to Cincinnati to play in this league?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think you're always excited to keep the guys that you think fit your program that are local first. Absolutely want to do that, and obviously we've got a great product we're selling here at the University of Cincinnati.
Mike and Chad.
Tyson, every defensive coordinator at any level, I would assume, has a certain philosophy that they want to implement based on the personnel that they have, and you want to obviously mesh it with your current head coach, Coach Satterfield. I'm wondering, what is your philosophy, and how much time have you had to get familiar with the personnel here already?
Well, have not had a lot of time to get familiar with the specific personnel here yet, so we're working on that as we speak, basically. So with meeting with each of the guys for sure. And but number one, you want to be fundamentally sound. That's where any great defense starts, is with the fundamentals. Obviously, you want to keep, in our mind, keep things simple so your guys have the ability to play as fast and physical as they can, and then naturally you want to be an attacking style defense. So I think with those things, we've got the right pieces here. We certainly haven't seen anybody practice the sport of football with this current group, so that's obviously something we'll work through in the springtime to figure out how this personnel best fits what the makeup of this defense might be.
How connected to Coach Campbell's defense are you in terms of the three safeties and the 3-3-5 look? And is that something that's evolving, or is that your philosophy coming in?
Good question. I've been involved with several different defenses along the way. That specific defense you mentioned is what we've done for several years in this conference, obviously. So I think, is that a structure I'm familiar with? It absolutely is. Do we need to find out what our depth looks like at all the positions, the front, the linebackers, and all those things? We do. That would be the most important thing to me, rather than saying, hey, this is exactly what we're going to do on defense just because that's what I've done the last several years. That would be unfair to the current roster. So we've got to figure that out through the spring, really through the things we're doing now, weight room and all those things. And then how does that then transfer into what defense we might want to do that would help us win football games?
Keegan and Scott.
Coach Veidt, take me back to your first jobs as a college football coach. What made you want to get into coaching, and then once you started doing it, what made it stick? And realize
Yeah, it would go all the way back to my college head coach, Jeff Haycock at Muskingum College, a great mentor of mine, and so I began as a graduate assistant with him back in 1996. So as a Division III guy, and it's really what I am. I'm a Division III guy. It's what I've been most all of my life. So, when you're doing that at that level, Coach mentioned you are wearing many hats, and you're mowing the grass and lining the field and filling up the water bottles and all of those things. That's really where I started. And you certainly want to remember where and how you started, and hopefully you carry that on into the rest of your career. And I hope that that's what I've done. I feel like that's what I've done, and you know, it certainly is a place that's special to me, and obviously my college head coach. That's what you hope. You got a chance to impact kids at this level in a way that no other level can. So, but yeah, that would be where I started for sure.
Coach, your offense, 200 yards passing, 200 yards rushing, and 4 or 5 straight years, something like that. A lot of games you've outgained people that beat you. The Iowa State game was not one of those. Is that one where you look at the tape and say, well, hey, how about this guy?
Yeah. I mean, that's certainly one of those games. We, I think we had maybe just barely over 200 yards total that day. Struggled to move the football. I think a lot of the things that happened that day, you know, I remember. Now I told Coach, you know, our first third down, we had a post wide open. We overthrew it, you know. Could have changed the game, but we didn't. We missed that, and then we came back the next drive and threw a pick. And you know, at that point, it was really hard to try to get back into the game. But you know, I do think that, you know, as you're playing, all the teams you play, there's always teams you're going to play that you remember. You know, how you felt after the game. You didn't feel very good. You know, it was hard for us to move the ball against those guys, and you know, but that's just one game. You know, you look back at the body of work of what they've been able to accomplish defensively. I mean, I think, you know, it speaks for itself. You know, but you know, certainly that day we had a hard time moving the football, and you know, we wanted to be able to run the ball. We struggled running the ball that day, and you know, that was one of the few games we had out of the 12 where we really just couldn't get our running backs going. You know, and but certainly in this league, you know, you have to be able to stop the run. I don't know what it ended up, but maybe 9 different guys had over 1,000 yards rushing in this league. I mean, so it is a difficult task, you know, to play defense in the Big 12. I think there's some great offenses, some really good quarterbacks, you know, that really put the pressure on defenses. And so it's a difficult task. There's no question about it. But they did about as good as anybody over the last, you know, 8 years. And you know, so certainly was a big factor in hiring Tyson.
Scott, you guys have had a lot of leadership and athletes and high-performing future NFL stars on your defense in the last couple of years, and especially, you know, last year with you as the head coach. How much would you like to return to a team that is defined by its defensive toughness?
I would love it. I would love it. You know, and I'm an offensive guy, but I mean, you know, if everybody's speaking highly about our defense, we're probably winning a lot of football games. You know, I think, you know, again, in this day and age, it's football is built for offenses. I mean, the rules and everything that we have out there is you know, because, you know, people love to see a lot of points, and so it's much more difficult nowadays to stop people defensively. But if we can hang our hat and be a great defense, and you know, really, you know, what are we known for? Would it be defense? I would not be mad at that, you know, because you know, I feel like we'll be able to score, we'll be able to move the ball. But if we can have that to be known as defense, and which they have in the past, a lot of great players, you know, we'd love to get back to that level.
As an Ohio guy, how much have you had an eye on maybe Cincinnati as the program has kind of gone from, you know, middle of the pack to playing in New Year's Six bowls and playing for a championship in the playoff? Has it caught your eye at all from afar?
Well, sure. I think obviously growing up in the state of Ohio, a great football state, and many colleges that play football in this state, which is why it's a blessing for all of these high school guys that play here, the opportunity to have to continue to play after high school. So, you know, obviously you're always paying attention to the state you're from, I believe, and University of Cincinnati has a great tradition, in my opinion, over the years, not just in recent times as well. So, but absolutely. Yeah.
Coach, you went 3 straight years with Big 12, all 3 starting linebackers getting Big 12 honors from 2017 to 2019. How excited are you to get to work with the group that is returning just about every key starter there in that linebacker room heading into this season?
Well, I think the first and foremost, those young men that were all conference for us were super intelligent guys and really unselfish guys. So I think that speaks to those guys and were worked to get themselves to be those guys. So I think it's no different here. We're going to need guys to really work at the fundamentals of the game. all the things that we're working on right now in the off season are what's going to be important to us as a defense as well. So the unity that you build throughout the off season in the weight room is what's required for a good defense to come together. So all of those things right now, time will tell clearly on all of that.
How did the Iowa State staff develop that defense? Was it based on your personnel, or did you look around the Big 12 and say, how do we stop these offenses?
There's a long story to that, to be honest with you. We had been a 4-down group, and that's what we were doing, which would have started our second year there. I don't know if I have time to tell this entire story, but I'll try to hit the key points. So we went and played at the University of Akron, actually, and just made it out of there with a victory. So the next day, which would have been Sunday in the staff room, our head coach came in, and we were, that was our second year in Ames at that point in time, and we were still trying to figure out what our identity was and all of those things, and we were struggling to stop people. Clearly, that's the point of the story. So we collectively, with stern direction from our head coach, figured out what was going to be best for us moving forward, and it's kind of gone in and out of some different things, but has based itself out of what you would have known in recent history anyway. So yeah. Yep.
JT?
Coach, how much will being familiar with the Big 12 help with the transition overall?
Well, I think the one thing in the Big 12, there's a lot of tough places to play on the road. Now it's probably even increased because you've got 3 time zones represented now in this conference, which is a challenge in and of itself, irrespective of hostile environments and all of those things. So obviously there's some new teams coming in that nobody has played yet. So there's going to be certainly ambiguity as far as that goes for everybody collectively, right? But have been fortunate to be to a few places several times, and we're going on the road to a couple of those places next fall. So hopefully that helps just simply with familiarity a little bit, and maybe in the travel aspect of things for sure.
Coach Brown had a very aggressive attacking defense. You mentioned attacking earlier, but even with the 3 safeties, how much of the long-term plan for your defense as a defensive coordinator is getting upfield, being aggressive, and getting after the quarterback?
Sure. Well, again, I think once we figure out exactly where we're going to fall into the scheme on our side of the ball, the aggressive nature of defensive football is only going to give you a chance to have success. So it's tough to play good defense and representative defense if you're not aggressive and attacking, irrespective of what scheme you're doing. So that would certainly be an attribute that we're looking for in our defensive football players for sure.
Scott?
Nothing happens overnight, but big difference in the Heartland Conference and the Big 12. Did you envision this years ago at Bluffton when you were lining the fields or whatever you were doing?
Yeah, I actually did a lot of overseeding there on our practice field. We didn't have much grass on that. That's right. So, but yeah, I got some help from some local guys for that aspect of it. But to be honest, no. So, I mean, as a matter of fact, was had completed 6 seasons there and was heading into 7, and in my head I thought I was going to be there 20. So there's certainly no way to predict the future by any stretch of the imagination. I've been blessed to have great opportunities presented to myself and our family and my life, and hopefully I've had the ability to take advantage of those. But no, I didn't necessarily think I'd be sitting here.
Coach, was there any one moment going through the interview process or walking out of the room when you got to interview him, was there anything that jumped out where you said, I think I found my guy?
I don't think there was any one moment. We had many conversations, first few on the phone, we talked, I don't know, probably 40, 45 minutes a couple of different times. And, and then, did some more talking, over the internet, and then we met, and I think just each and every time is, okay, I like where this is at, and then after every time, it was just kept reaffirming. And I think for me, if I'm going through, trying to hire guys, I think, you end up coming back to maybe the one that really stuck out. And then I think as I kept talking to different guys, just kept coming back, to Tyson. And, and toward the end of this thing, I was like, listen, this is going to be our guy. Let's get this done. And so, but I think for all those reasons we mentioned, I think, it's a really good fit in all aspects. And, so can't wait to get started. I mean, he mentioned he's already been meeting with a bunch of our defensive guys. He just got here, end of last week, and we got some workouts this week. We had a big junior day on Saturday. Since I've been here, it was not a long time, but those are probably the best collected players that we brought in here. About 24 guys this weekend. Excited. We're going to hit the road, I think, this week and get some local guys, go around and look at a bunch of defensive guys right around Cincinnati. So, we're just excited about where we're headed right now. Excited to work with this team that we have, that we brought in here and got workouts this afternoon on the field. So every day, I think, for Coach here and really for me, we got 28 new guys. To be able to bring them out here, let's see how they move, how they interact, what's their leadership style, and figure out where's the best place to play these guys where they can make plays. And I think that's what we're going to be doing over the next 2 months.
Coach Brown, Coach Safeties, Coach Veidt, linebackers, has there been any decisions on reshuffling positions defensively or thoughts on that?
Yeah, Coach has met with our guys. I've met with our staff, and we're figuring that out. I think we'll work this out, over the next few weeks here, obviously before we get into spring practice, 1st of March. So we got about a month, but we're going to put our guys that are coaches in the best places to be able to, coach and get the most out of our players. Same with our players, and Coach can coach a lot of the positions there on defense. We got a really good staff here. We're excited. They're eager, to work with Coach as well. I think that's always critical, right? When you're bringing in a new staff member, how well is it going to work with the rest of the guys? And we got a bunch of unselfish guys that all we care about is playing winning football, winning defense, and so we'll figure that stuff out over the next few weeks.
Final question, Dan.
I imagine you're over the moon for Brock Purdy. What stood out, even though he was an offensive guy, about those years that he spent at Iowa State, and what do you make of his first 2 years in the NFL?
Yeah, well, his success certainly speaks for itself, I would say, but he's a great human being, obviously. I think the country's probably seeing that now. We knew that for several years, but extremely competitive, highly intelligent, hard worker, was always doing extra. So all the intangibles that it takes to be great at any position, he certainly holds those and is obviously having great success doing that. So absolutely.
Actual final question, Joe.
To follow up, Scott, on Dan's question.
Yeah.
I know you didn't coach Travis. I know you didn't coach Brian Cook, but there are some UC guys going to the Super Bowl. How important is that to the program to have those guys representing this university and your program on that stage?
It's extremely important. You're just proud. It just makes you really proud to wear to see the Bearcat on your chest right here, and those guys represent that. Travis is very outspoken about that. His time here at Cincinnati, and we certainly talk about it all the time. These recruits came in this weekend. We're always talking about the guys at the highest level that are making huge statements. With Jason and Garner. All the guys that have been able to do it. Because these high school players, that's what they want to do. That's what they want to be. They want to be at the same. They want to be playing for the Super Bowl. Just like these guys are. And what we're showing is that this is a great path for you to be able to come play here at UC and then go on to the NFL and go play for Super Bowls, because we got guys that have done it. And so, it was certainly huge for us. So happy for those guys, and certainly pulling for them and have great success.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Coach.